Hello, Mixed Nutcases. This is Nuke Joss, and we've got an episode for you today about failure. With me, as usual.
I don't know. Tech's not here.
What?
He failed. No, anyway. Hi, everybody. I'm Tech.
We have the tech of failure.
Wow. Gonna bring up the swans.
Well, that was one of the things that we were talking about when we were talking about this episode.
We'll try to use failure as the theme song for an episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, let's not do that. But if you haven't heard that, look up the Swans and Failure, and you will find a very, very sad emo song.
Oh, that's not even emo. This is from the, I think, late 80s or early 90s. It is a...
Oh, is it goth?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a sound called null wave, which was supposed to be like the dark, brooding answer to the new wave sound. So it was just this, it wasn't even goth, it was just super depressing.
Yeah.
You know, as here I am pushing the boulder of failure.
By the way, you just, well, actually so hard, I'm surprised you're not actually wearing glasses. But yes, failure is something that a lot of us fear, a lot of us struggle with, but I want to talk about it a little bit in the sense of sometimes failure is a good thing. There's a line that a master has failed more times than you've tried.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, us being martial artists, you know, we are inundated with these little sayings, you know, over and over and over again of things like that. You know, a black belt has failed more times than a white belt has tried, and that's the only difference is, you know, perseverance and all that. But you get surrounded by these sayings, but I don't know, they never made me feel good when I was failing. You know, oh yeah, well, the master's tried more times than I've failed. Great, I still failed. You know, it's great that he can do the flippy thing, but I can't. And, you know, I will eventually one day, sure, great, yeah, awesome, but I'm on my second concussion, my fourth broken nose, I've snapped ligaments in both my fingers, I have one ankle that's held together by mostly warm cheese at this point. Yeah, failure comes at a price. It
does, but you learn something from each of those failures, and that's kind of essential to learning. I've often said that, you know, there is that line of those who can't do teach, which I think is absolute BS. That's not true at all. But what makes a good teacher is understanding that failure is part of the process.
Yeah, and this was a thing that we went through. We had a revolution in our training system at work a little while ago, a few years ago now, where, you know, we used to punish students for failing. You know, they'd have these problems with some of the material, and then they would be punished, and they'd be yelled at. It's like, well, you failed the test. And then it's like, no, they're students. They're supposed to fail. That's kind of the point. And yeah. I actually want them to fail here. I want them to try things. I want them to have them not work here so that when they're out in the job force, they're not having these problems. They've learned from their mistakes and their experience. So we had this whole rethink about maybe it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and sometimes it's not, you know, but it's okay. You tried something. It didn't work. I'm not going to yell at you. We're going to figure out how we can do it better next time, you know, and it ended up being pretty positive. It ended up working out real good for us.
And I think that's important. Like when I think about my journey as, you know, cooking, just in cooking, sometimes I make a recipe and it doesn't quite work.
Sometimes we order a pizza, you know,
but when it doesn't work, you can taste what didn't work and then you come up with better ideas, or you know not to do that anymore, or, you know, oh, I used a little too much garlic, or this is lacking flavor, or the noodles are rubbery. Why did that happen? And when you learn those things and you take another recipe, you're then able to look at it and say, well, I'm not going to do that technique again because that failed for me and I didn't like it. And I think that that's part of learning.
No, it is. You know, learning from your mistakes that you've made, or learning from an oopsie, and it's like, oh well, you know, if it takes you know an hour to cook at 250, it'll take half an hour at 500, right? And then you try that and you burn the house down. You go, well, that was dumb. Maybe I should follow the instructions a little closer this time. You know, and avoid that mistake. You know, learning from failure is a really important part of the human journey. I really think so. Yeah. But we should not have our fear of failure stop us from trying things that we want to. I used to be part of a fencing club, and we fenced in a very public location, and we would have people walk by all the time, and what we did was free, and we had all kinds of safety gear, and we would teach anyone who wanted to come. Like, we were just looking for more people to play with, and I don't know how many times it happened that I would have people come up super duper interested. And then I'm like, well, do you want me to get you a mask and a throat guard and a pair of gloves? And do you want to try? And they go, well, you just beat me. It's like, well, that's not the point. The point is getting you into the house. Yeah, but you're just going to win. So I'm not going to try. You know what? I'm going to go. Like, all you're going to do is just kick my butt. It's like, is that what you think I'm doing here? That I'm just, inflating my own ego by just whooping people on the street? It's like, I'm trying to get you involved in the hobby. Why don't you come in? We'll play slow, and you'll learn a couple things, and then we'll try, and you'll see how much fun it is. Nah, you're just going to beat me. No, I'm going to quit. And then they leave. And then they never, this thing that they were interested in 5 seconds ago, all of a sudden their ego got in the way, and they won't even try it now because they're afraid of, like, quote, quote, losing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a real sword fight. It's like, it's just us hitting each other with a rubber tipped sword. It's a hobby. It's fun. I don't know.
No, I agree 100%. And it's one of those things that we get in martial arts. I get it when I'm trying to introduce people to art. Any real hobby, people will just start with, oh, well, I'm no good at this. Or, I love I wish I could draw like you. I'm no good at drawing. And it's like, nobody starts good, but try it, see if you like it. And also, I suck at singing, and Tech can tell you that doesn't stop me.
Oh gosh, I wish it did.
But
it doesn't.
It's this idea of you have to be great at everything you do. Well, we call martial arts practice, and we wouldn't call it practice if we were instantly good. You have to keep practicing, and nobody's good. Even the eighth dans are not good. Please don't beat me if you're listening to this, eighth dans. But in reality, there was our former technical director who would say that he gets one perfect technique, maybe, in a class.
Yeah, but we can all agree that the 8th degree black belt technical director of an entire martial art has a different definition of perfect than I do.
It's true. But what that tells me, though, is that in his eyes, he's constantly failing, and it's chasing that perfect technique, chasing that getting better. That is the whole goal. And it's the same thing with art, with music, with any hobby.
I think it was Jackie Ickx. Anyway, a great cyclist, like a Tour de France rider in the 80s, was known for saying about cycling that it never gets easier. You just go faster.
Yeah.
So that even you start cycling and it's really hard and it hurts the legs, and then your butt hurts from the saddle and you're not comfortable and you're all self-conscious, and then you fall over and it hurts and you're not going very fast, and then you stick with it for like 5 or 6 years and you're still not, it's still not any easier, and your legs still hurt and your bum's still sore from the saddle, and you just go faster.
Yeah.
So, you are going to fail at things, regardless of whether you're, just learning to ride a bicycle for the first time or whether you're a multi-time winner of the Tour de France, you're still going to fail. So, because now your standards get higher and higher and higher, and what you expect of yourself become better and better and better. So do not let failure get in the way of you trying something that you like. Yeah. You want to learn to dance. You want to learn to paint. You want to sing. You want to try a new recipe. You want to, gosh, I don't know, vacuum the carpet in a different pattern than you did last time, so that maybe this time you don't knock the lamp off the end table. Well, try.
Yeah.
And see what happens. Oh, I didn't knock the lamp off the end table, but the painting fell down. Well, oops. I got to try another way of vacuum. What is going on with you vacuuming the living room? What are
Maybe
you doing?
You should just do it. I don't know.
I usually do anyways.
Exactly. But I find that for me, and I keep going back to martial arts because this is where we're doing the most practice. And honestly, this is where my most of my failures are coming from. I find that as I'm learning something and I'm learning a concept, I will get to a point where I am struggling. I am failing. I am screwing up. Things I thought I knew, I no longer know. And I am just a mess. And usually that moment happens right before a breakthrough, right before I finally understand a concept that I have been struggling with for months. And then the world opens and I go, oh, it's just this.
I can't agree more. I agree. For me, I've always noticed that the classes that I have little drive in going, like when I feel like I've got a cold coming on, or my legs hurt from, the previous class, or I've got a sore back, and I just, my hands hurt. I just don't want to go to class. I find that if I push myself, those classes are the ones that I get the most benefit from.
100%. Because you're so preoccupied with all the pain that you're feeling.
Except if it's a hangover class. Those just suck.
Oh,
those are just awful. So
I wouldn't know about that. I don't go hungover.
Yeah, so I try not to do that anymore because that really hurt.
But yeah, no, I when you're just at your brink, finally you're able to learn. And so if people are listening to this and you're going through something similar and you feel like it is just an uphill battle and you feel stupid, like you're never going to get this, that's usually right before you're going to get it. And something awesome is going to happen.
And let's not forget that, like, I got a list here of great inventions that were made by accident.
Yes.
So we cannot let fear of failure stopping us from trying things because, you never know. You might have a success out of something that you're not good at or make a success out of an accident. I mean, everybody knows the story of, like, Post-it notes, right? So Spencer Silver was trying to make a new super adhesive, and he made this thing that was really sticky and didn't work very good. So he gave it to a friend of his, Art Fry, and Art Fry made Post-it notes.
Yep.
Alexander Fleming, coming up with penicillin, accidentally left a petri dish out at night and then noticed that the mold that grew in it killed all the bacteria.
Yep.
Penicillin. Percy Spencer had a chocolate bar in his pocket while he was working on a radar dish in the Chain-Home system during World War II, and every time he stepped in front of the dish, he noticed that the beam of the radar would melt the chocolate bar in his pocket.
Yep.
Invented the microwave oven. Didn't work the first time, though. Like, I've heard two stories. He either tried to microwave a potato or an egg the first time, and it oopsied.
Well, anybody who's tried to microwave an egg knows that can happen very easily.
It'll explode.
Yeah, it'll explode.
George the Mistral invented Velcro after going for a walk, and his dog got covered in burrs.
Yeah.
And then picking the burrs out of his dog's fur, he came up with, that's a horrible thing to do, poor pup. And then he's like, Velcro. Teflon. Roy Plunkett, while trying to create a new refrigerant gas, Plunkett's gas polymerized into a slippery solid. Now we have Teflon. James Wright invented Silly Putty while trying to come up with a synthetic rubber substitute, and he ended up with this bouncy, stretchy thing that was good for nothing and turned into a mega star children's toy.
Hey, you can copy comics from the newspaper with that stuff.
Absolutely. Wilhelm Röntgen invented X-rays, experimenting with the cathode rays when he noticed a fluorescent screen glowing unexpectedly. Yeah, because he was next to like a rock of like curium.
This had something to do with the scream.
No. That's Munch.
No, you said Wilhelm.
Röntgen.
The Wilhelm scream?
Oh, the Wilhelm scream.
Jokes are funnier if you explain them. See, even here I'm failing at joking.
John Pemberton was trying to invent a new medicinal tonic by mixing a coca leaf and a cola nut. And it was not a very good medicinal tonic, but hey, he invented Coca-Cola.
And that's huge.
One of the biggest, most well-known corporate brands in the history of the world.
Yeah. I say as I'm drinking a diet version.
Yeah. Edward Benedictus invented safety glass when he dropped a flask coated in plastic cellulose nitrate, which cracked but didn't shatter. Yeah, that's weird. Why'd that happen? Oh, now he makes safety glass, which we use on, everywhere. Windshields and everything else, right?
Yeah.
So just because you have an accident doesn't mean that something good can't come out of it. And number one, like, just because you fail at something doesn't mean you can't have fun doing it.
Yeah.
I am not very good at Aikido. I am not very good at cycling. I am very, very slow. I am not very good at swimming. These are all activities that I really enjoy, and I'll do them anyways, even though I'm I'm never going to win a triathlon. I'm never going to be an 8th degree black belt. I'm never going to win a golden demon at painting my miniatures. My miniatures are just fraught with mistakes from one end to the other, but I don't rage quit because I enjoy the hobby. Do not let the fear of failure stop you from having fun.
Yeah. And there's something that you've said there about how you're never going to get a medal, you're never going to this, you're never going to that. And I think that there's a lot of thought around, if you're going to do something, you need to be able to measure it, and that it's not worthwhile unless there's a measured success.
Oh, we've met all kinds of people like this.
The people that they start painting and they start selling their paintings after a month. Or they started painting with the whole idea of selling their paintings. Yeah. Or, I'm going to make a podcast, and the podcast is going to make it so I can quit my job. Or, like you said, I'm painting miniatures, but only because I'm going to get the golden demon. And if I'm not going to get the golden demon, why am I even bothering? It does not need to have this measured success. And I feel like if that is your goal, you're doing it wrong, because your goal should be the thing that you're doing. It should be you sitting there painting and having a good time. Tech spent all day putting together a miniature that he'd been putting off for months, and the sitting there and sculpting it and putting it together is the good time.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
And then it fell apart and I had to do it again.
Yeah. And you know what? That's okay. That's the part that's the good time. When you made your Clockwork Doctor cosplay, anytime somebody asks you about that costume, it's never about the people's reaction or any awards you've won, which you didn't. And any of that. You tell everybody about how you glued your fingers to yourself, how you put it together, how it was a hockey mask, floral styrofoam, a bunch of insulation foam, paper mache.
How I ruined the carpet in the living room.
Yeah, it's all about that process that you built the cosplay. And that's what makes the cosplay awesome, is that journey that you took. That's what made it special, and how in between each time that you wore it, you would add pieces to it, and it was the building of it. That was the joy more than any finished result.
You're right. And there's a lot of, I see this a lot with people that they look at the end goal, they look at the reward, and that's what they want, and not the whole trip along. People watch the Olympics and go, God, wouldn't it be great to win a gold medal? Well, sure, but if you don't like swimming,
yeah,
then you're going to put yourself through years of heck to try to earn that medal for something that you don't really enjoy. How about we spin that around the other way? And how about we try swimming first and see if we like it? And then you stick with it, and then you know what? There's only one person a year who's going to win that gold medal. There's 8 billion of us on this planet. It's probably not going to be you. I hate to break this to you, wireless listeners. None of us are going to win gold medals. Probably not. Hey, if you are a Nutty Bites listener and you have won an Olympic gold medal, please message me and let's chat. I'd love to talk to you. But none of us are going to win gold medals at the Olympics. And that's okay. None of us are going to win Nobel Prizes either. That's okay. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop studying physics.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to win the Nobel Prize. Guess what? I'm not a Stephen Hawking. I'm not an Albert Einstein. I'm actually pretty dumb. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy learning about physics. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. As a lifelong learner and somebody that'll just go down a rabbit hole for no reason, it's about that journey. It's about learning. It's about finding the thing that makes you happy and doing it. And I think if you look at the people that have won the Nobel Prizes or won the Olympic gold medals, they didn't start it to win a gold medal or to win that prize. They started it because they loved that thing.
Yeah. And or they discovered along the way that a lot of pole vaulters are gymnasts. They grew too tall.
Yeah.
Or something where you don't have the aptitude for gymnastics because you're too tall or you're not flexible enough or all this. But you have this natural aptitude that you can fly 20 feet in the air off the end of a stick because
it translated into something
one
else.
translates into the other.
And that doesn't mean that they're like, oh, I settled for pole vaulting. No, it means that they were doing something that they loved. They were struggling with it. They were failing. And then they found something, oh, I can do this. And then they were successful.
I see this a lot in the Air Force and in naval aviation. I listen to the Fighter Pilot podcast, Go Jello, and they talk a lot about the letters that they receive from people that are like, I want to be a fighter pilot and I want to fly this particular jet fighter, and if I don't fly it, I don't know what I'm ever going to do. I'm just going to quit because all I want to do is fly that one airplane. Yeah, but do you know how hard it is to become a fighter pilot and how many people fail or get rejected? So, you might not be Maverick. You might not be the guy flying the airplane, but you could be Goose. You could be the guy in the back seat. Maybe you're not. Maybe you don't have the aptitude for what it takes to fly an airplane or fly a helicopter. But maybe you have all. Maybe you don't get motion sick, and maybe you're actually pretty good at like scanning sensors. So maybe being a weapon system operator in the back seat or a navigator is something you'd be better suited at. You don't know unless you try. So many people that say, "Oh, well, I could never join the military. I'm autistic. Oh, I could never do that. I could never get a master's degree. I have a learning disorder." Have you tried?
Have you tried?
Do you know how many autistic people are in the Army, like, right now?
Yeah.
Do you know how many people with learning disabilities have masters and doctorates? I'd say more than neurotypical people.
Yeah.
So go ahead and try. A good piece of advice that I heard from another pilot, actually, was make them tell you no.
Yes.
And I love this idea that I am not going to fail myself out of something before I even try. If I want to go do that thing, but I don't think my eyes are good enough, well, no, my eyes aren't good enough. I wear glasses. I'm never going to be able to get into that. I'm never going to be a pilot. It's like, did you go take the eye test? Did you talk to a recruiter? Did you actually try? Or did you just automatically exclude yourself? How do you know? Maybe there's a surgery. Maybe there's a type of glasses they can do. Maybe your eyes aren't that bad. Maybe they changed the standard. You don't know. Make them tell you no.
Yeah. And honestly, it's just do the thing. There's no harm in trying. And this is kind of why I want to have this episode is I want to talk about how if you try and you fail, at least you tried. And failure is not the worst thing in the world. It tells you something. You learn from it. But if you just sit here always saying, I wish I could do this, but I'm going to fail, so I'm not going to try, well, then you don't actually know. If you do it and you fail, okay, you know. But you know more than just, oh, I can't do it. You know why. You know how hard it actually was.
Now, that being said, there are some things that I have an inkling that I would like to try. But I also know that I can't. Or that I shouldn't. I'll give you a good example. Speed running.
Okay.
I love speed running video games. I love watching it. I love discussing it. I know all the records. I watch a bunch of YouTube channels devoted to it. I follow some streamers that are great speed runners. I can't do it myself. Okay. For the games that I like, I can't speed run. Because I have broken my hands so many times, my thumbs hurt, and if I start I will give myself repetitive stress injuries in my hands, and I will turn my two hands into claws.
And we've seen people that were perfectly healthy do that to themselves in that profession.
My hands just hurt all the time, and I have to go to work on Monday, and I have a job typing. If I spend an entire weekend, 16-hour days all weekend trying to break the Mega Man 2 speed run, as much as I would love to speed run Mega Man 2, I wouldn't be able to work on Monday. My hands would just hurt too much. So no, that is one that I am going to just put aside. Same thing with like Souls games. I love the Dark Souls series. It's from From Software. They're one of my favorite companies. I can't play their games anymore. My hands hurt too much. As much as I'd love to play the new Souls games, I just can't.
And that's also understanding a limitation, but you got that from doing things and feeling things and understanding how your hands work. And that, is what you've learned. There's also some other things that I wanted to bring up, how failure brought us some really good things. For instance, Speaking of video games, it's called Final Fantasy because the game company was going out of business.
Yep, it was their last shot. It was their Final Fantasy.
It was, you know what? Let's go out on a bang, and they called it Final Fantasy. And it was a massive hit that saved the company. And it made huge fandoms. It defined the turn-based video game as far as I'm concerned. And it was, you know, it came from failure. Another big one is Firefly. Firefly was an out-and-out failure. It was a failure of a TV show. Yeah, Fox aired the episodes out of order, and it was canceled, and not everything got on the air and all of that. And yeah, the Browncoats got together and they got a big damn movie and everything, you know, that was great. Now they're trying to make an animated show. But you know what? There is so much love for that fandom, for that series, that it's 20 years later and we're still talking about it and we're still getting excited. And it's a show and a movie that failed. But dang, does it matter? Does it matter that it wasn't as big as Star Wars and Star Trek, which had their own failures, by the way? No.
I'm looking at you, important. Disco. Sorry.
It's still important. Well, Star Trek was canceled and then resurrected by fans and then canceled again. I mean, Star Trek has had so many things.
Futurama.
Yeah, Futurama.
Canceled 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah. Honestly, like, Trekkie culture would not have existed without Star Trek getting canceled. It was, Star Trek was what really made conventions kind of into the thing that they are now. It is what started fandom from actually fans getting their voice heard and having what they want matter and getting things like, you know, Veronica Mars got a movie because of fandom, getting together and putting up their own money for it. And, you know, Firefly got a movie for Serenity, and Star Wars got their sequels and the TV shows and everything else. And it all comes from the fact that things failed. D&D failed commercially. It was too fringe, too complicated, too weird. Stores did not want to stock it. And then there was that 1980s moral panic. And because of those failures, there was this underground loyalty. There was the people that wanted to play it that kept the game alive. And now we're in what, 5th edition? You know, we're, oh gosh, many decades later. And now it's seen as the cool thing to do because they made this TV show called Stranger Things that is about a D&D group. And you can go into Walmart and buy merch that makes it look like you play D&D. Like, this is amazing to me.
Yeah, where was that when I was 17?
Oh, exactly. But these are the things that come out of failure. It's kind of shaped our world. It's shaped what we are as geeks. And I don't know, just don't be afraid of a little failure.
Yeah, because if there's something that you really, really enjoy, it doesn't matter if you're good. And it doesn't matter that, you know, okay, so you're not a great guitarist. So get out there and noodle and play along and learn some songs and have some fun and play the music that you want to at the speed that you want to, the way that you want to. Enjoy the hobby. Don't let somebody else, or don't let yourself tell yourself that just because you're not Joe Satriani, that you shouldn't play the guitar because, well, you suck. It's like, well, guess what? There's only one of him and 8 billion of us. So what? Guess what? I love to draw. Yeah, but I can't draw like Sid Mead. No one can. There was only one of him. And he's dead. Doesn't mean
beyond him.
Peace be unto him. You know, it doesn't mean I'm not going to stop drawing. It doesn't mean that I'm going to, you know, keep experimenting with perspective and straight lines, and I'm going to keep making weirdo futuristic vehicles because that's the art that I like. I'm never going to be Sid Mead for about 1,000 reasons.
There's also the whole idea of sometimes you want something so bad and you think this is what you want and then you fail royally. But then something else happens. You know, the one door closes and a window opens or something like that.
Yep.
It's the idea of you know, you were a younger person and you were so obsessed with this one person and you wanted to marry them and have the best life with them. And then that didn't happen. But later on you met somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was worth it. And I'm not going to reference that country music song, but it is true. You think what you want and what you need, you know, if you try sometimes, you get what you need. That's a better song.
Yeah. Go with that one. Go with that
one. But there was an old podcast that I loved, and peace be unto her, Paulette Jackson's, which was Rejection Letter Theater. And her whole goal was to get 100 rejection letters for her stories and for her novels, because you can't be successful without getting rejected. And so she would collect them and she would read them on her podcast. And I love that, because the idea is failure's part of the process. It's how you get where you need to be. You need to have some of those failures. And I just love having that mentality and turning it around.
Can I plug a podcast?
Sure.
Well, we're talking about failure.
Yeah.
From the Apostrophe Podcast Production Network.
Okay.
They have a podcast called the We Regret to Inform You, the Rejection Podcast. Where they talk about famous celebrities that only got their big break after being rejected, sometimes multiple times. And it's the story of their perseverance through that rejection. They're about to start season 7.
Oh, wow. Have you listened to this or you just found it?
Oh, no, I've been listening to this.
Okay.
So Apostrophe, that's Terry O'Reilly's
okay.
theater. The host, I think... I forget her name. Sydney O'Reilly? Anyway, it's his daughter.
It's the daughter. I think you're right. I think it's Sydney.
But yeah, Sydney O'Reilly. But the season 7 episodes include Joan Jett, Oprah, and George Martin.
Yeah. All of these are really good examples. I love these. Yeah.
What else have we got here? Oh, yeah.
George Martin, because he was a failed author who then went to work in television, did the show Beauty and the Beast, among some other things, failed there, and then went back home and started writing again. And then, after many years, blew up and became a huge success.
Other examples of episodes that they talk about in this podcast, Airbnb.
Oh, really?
Was a failure multiple times before it hit it big. Your favorite movie, Elf.
I love Elf. How did Elf fail?
The script was rejected by production companies, studios, directors, and actors, championed by only 2 producers with no producing experience. Then, when it finally did land a studio, executives nearly left Elf on the shelf. The Supremes, Jennifer Hudson, Breaking Bad, Lucille Ball. Anyway, and so on and so on and so on. So
we there's so many good examples of people that have failed before they succeeded. It's, you know, it's part of the story, but also it's part of the stories that we read. It's part of the stories that we love. It's part of that journey. I mean, without that failure, who's going to have a training montage, right? You have to have that failure. Rocky gets knocked down and then he goes through the training montage. You need that. You need to fail before you can overcome your adversity.
And Terry, I plugged your podcast. You owe me a t-shirt.
Oh, is that how that works?
I hope that's how that works.
I was going to say, I don't know. I would love that if that were part of it. That'd be great. Come on, Terry, we're fellow podcasters. But yeah, it's like, even in the hero's journey, they call it the ordeal or the spiritual death, right? It is that low point where the hero faces their greatest fear, their death, whatever, you know. Obi-Wan was murdered right in front of your eyes, but you need to overcome it in order to find that vent hole. It's part of what we need to get us going. You know, you got to win one for the Gipper.
Your uncle throws your dad off of a cliff, and you then have to get revenge, and so begins Hamlet. No, sorry, Kimbo the White. No, sorry, The Lion King.
The Lion King.
That's
there
the one.
That's the one. Yeah, exactly. It's all of these are there. Without it wouldn't. Nothing would be as fun, you know. Lord of the Rings would have been over if Gandalf beat the Balrog right away, you know. If Tony Stark's first suit worked, he wouldn't have become the person that he is, right? That he needed in order to be a hero.
Yeah, and if Thanos had accomplished his mission the first time, he wouldn't have needed to snap half the people away, and
Exactly.
we wouldn't have had 38 movies.
And if, Spider-Man actually prevented Uncle Ben from dying.
Oh, don't blame Peter.
No, but if he did, he would have ended up being a jerk because he needed that. He needed that to teach him that with great power comes great responsibility.
I can't believe that's where you're going to go with this.
No, but it's true because he was getting cocky and full of himself. He would have ended up being like the
Flash,
Captain Hammer, corporate tool, He needed that failure to make him have the heart. So it sucks.
So wrap this up for me, Nutty.
Yeah. Oh, right. Wrapping it up. So, yeah. So while failure sucks and we feel like it's something that is all encompassing and the worst thing ever, it is just a part of the story and there is more to come. And I'm going to an old story I was told. Humans are like pencil. And if you notice your classic number 2 pencil, there is an eraser on the end. And the reason why there is an eraser is we expect to make mistakes. We expect to need to erase the things we've written. And that is why failure is part of the process. It's part of the journey. And as hard as it is to deal with, it is just the next step. And there is another step after it, and success does follow. And if you're struggling and you're feeling like you are just a failure all the time, I feel you. I hear you. I am here with you. We're all in this together, and we are all failures.
Yep. Do not let failure stop you. Do not let the fear of failure stop you from trying something that you want to because you enjoy it. Let your enjoyment ride you through a hobby more so than either the fear of failure or the actual failures. I have failed at my martial art pretty much every class I have ever been to, and I continue to fail. But I do it because I love it, and I keep trying to get a little bit better every class. I am not going to, I choose not to compete because that's my own thing, but I'm not going to let the fact that somebody may be better than me at something prevent me from trying the hobby. I like to paint. I'm going to paint because I enjoy painting, not because I think that somebody else should buy my paintings for thousands of dollars and then get upset when no one buys them. Or my miniature painting can only be good if I buy all the top value products that the pros are hawking. No, you can paint with paint from a dollar store and still make pretty gosh darn good miniatures. The best scenery maker I've ever known, you know him, Nutty, Andre, made all of his scenery for his games out of the discarded cereal boxes once his kids had breakfast.
Oh, fantastic.
And all of his buildings and everything were all made out of discarded cereal boxes.
That's fantastic. I love that. I think that's awesome. And you don't need to have someone else tell you something's a success for you to enjoy it.
Yep.
You just need to enjoy it. And
I remember a student who came to Aikido once and was talking to you and asked, how many times do we go to tournaments? And we said, well, we don't compete in our particular style. We don't spar. And then she asked you, well, how do you know you're any good? Well, I know I'm good because my techniques work when I do them.
Yeah.
I don't need a tournament. I don't need to win a trophy to have somebody else tell me that I'm good.
You don't need to go in the octagon to prove to other people. It is, I am better than what I was before.
Ding, ding,
and
ding.
For me, that's the biggest thing. I am my own goalpost. Comparison is the thief of happiness. And apparently this episode, I'm just saying platitudes, but they're real. Because if I'm better than I was, I have spent my time well. And that's the point. And that's where I'm headed. With anything. Martial arts, art, building miniatures, working at my job, mowing the lawn, whatever it is. I just want to be better than I was. And that's the whole point. All right. Well, if you've got some failure that you want to talk to us about, you can always reach out to us. You can contact us in Discord, Facebook, whatever. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. And we want to thank you and let you know that failure is part of the process. Anything else?
That's all I got.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
So we got a big shout out to our patrons who are keeping us going. Thank you so much, everyone. You are helping us make donations and making the world a better place. So thank you so much to our top tier big daddies. Thank you to Jax, and thank you to Rich the TT. Thank you to our patrons of the arts. That next tier of people that are just so special. Thank you to Marketing Caffeinated One. Thank you to Susanna. Thank you to Melissa the Bathtub Mermaid, Mark Cabot, and Hugh O'Donnell, and Kaylin. And I want to thank all of our other patrons that are keeping us going. So thank you so much to Shane, Selganor, Mike, Kinsey, Ken, Ian, Harold, Steven, Radical Geek, Grig, Zachman, Will, and Cliff. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate it. The Nutty Bites podcast is produced by Nimlast Studios under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International Deed. What this means is you can share it, but you can't change it, you can't make money off it, and you need to link back to me, my site, and everything. We live at nimlast.org. There you can find links to social media, Discord, our Facebook group, Patreon, or you can call us at 347-NUTTY-42. We do not consent to having AI scrape, learn from, or repurpose the Nutty Bites podcast.